recording?
Yep. All right, the theme song's going to play.
Midweek Motivation.
With Diana and Amanda. DNA. I am here with Diana and Amanda, your two favorite hosts for Midweek Motivations. And today we're going to be talking about public exams. I already have anxiety talking about exams.
But
again.
we don't have to be anxious because, good news, this exam is going on YouTube. It's public.
Public exam?
Yes,
what an
public
idea.
Exams. So, yes, this week we're talking about public exams. And the basic idea behind a public exam is that the professor will select either all of the questions on the exam or some portion of the exam, share it with students in advance, just giving away the answers right up front. And then what are the reasons that somebody might choose to do this outlandish, crazy idea?
So outlandish and crazy. That's why we love it.
Yep.
So Ben Wiggins, he was here in the fall, and he did one of our teaching and learning talks. But he did a talk on public exams and shared this idea of you take an exam, like you said, and you share it with the students a week before the actual exam. And you do this for a couple of reasons. One, it reduces anxiety because when you give this exam, and like you said, you take out portions. So that means you're taking out, maybe you give them the question, but not the answers, if it's multiple choice. Or you show the answers, but not the question. Or you give them the data, but not the chart or graph that they're going to have to do something with. Or you give them the chart and graph, but not the data. Like you pull out some piece of the information, so they don't have the entire exam, but what they do see is the format of the exam, the organization, the language, and they can see what concepts are the focus of the exam because, you know, on an exam, you're not going to include every single thing you taught for the entire year, but they get to see what will be focused on for the exam. So they're spending the time studying on the things they actually need to study for because that's what's on the exam. And so it reduces anxiety because students are seeing the format of the exam. They know what's going to be asked of them, so they know how to spend their time studying. They are doing some deeper thinking because they're really focusing in on certain concepts and topics. And it helps for students who maybe English isn't their first language. I had a conversation with a faculty member last week, and she was saying she started doing these public exams in her class, and she just takes out parts of the question or answer, gives it to them the week before, as you're supposed to do, and then students have the time to go back to her and ask questions or clarification. They also invite students to edit and comment on the public exam. And so the week before, she had a student come up and say, is this what you meant when you asked this question? Well, English isn't the student's first language, so the way that he interpreted the question was different. So it wasn't, at that point, he was being tested on his language skills more than about the topic.
Right.
And so she was able to switch the wording of the question to make more sense of it. And so, you know, he might have got that question wrong, and it had nothing to do with if he knew the content or not.
Another way that you can use this public exam idea is if you have the type of course that deals with like big, heavy topics or sort of lends itself to case study discussion or open-ended discussion. One way you can use this strategy is to present students with the discussion topic or the case study the week before the exam so that rather than using their exam time to really read and understand and process and think about the case that you're presenting, they're using their exam time to unpack and explain and discuss and make connections to course concepts that you've covered throughout the semester. But they've already had some time to kind of sit with and think through the case study and then come back to it during the exam time.
Yeah, they so you could either give them the scenario, the case study, without the question around it, or you give them the question but not the scenario. Either way, you can flip-flop it, and they get some piece of it to help them like start preparing in advance. So that's a week out. So instead of giving your traditional study guide, you give students the public exam the week before. And then the next step is a couple days before you take any edits, comments that the students, you know, you let them edit the exam. And so then you release a second version of the public exam 2 days before the exam, and that is what they take home and study for those last 2 days before they come in and actually take the exam.
I like this public exam model for several reasons. So let's recap.
Recap.
The things that are great about the public exam strategy. reduces anxiety
Mm-hmm.
for students, increases transparency and fairness
And trust.
and trust
Yeah.
around the exam process.
Breaks down language barriers
Yep.
and other learning barriers.
And just bottom line, make sure that you're testing students on what you want to be testing them on, not on their ability to take a test or cope with their anxiety around test taking, and not on their native language proficiency.
Mhm. Yeah.
Did we miss anything?
I don't
Probably
think so.
not, because we're basically perfect.
No, I really encourage faculty members to try this. It's exam time now, and giving students the chance to see the format of the exam or any part of it that can help them really focus on the studying, deepen their understanding of the content, and then reduce that anxiety.
Yeah, and if this idea is coming across your desk after exam time, consider dipping your toes in the water of the public exam idea at midterms.
Mhm.
And then, you can decide for yourself whether that's a teaching strategy that works for you.
I like it.
I like you.